Welcome to Groton Middle School's Career Day. My name is Erin Renane. Today we will be speaking with professionals from a variety of employment fields. The participants in Career Day are here to help students at GMS learn more about the world of work. They will talk about what makes their jobs interesting to them and how they prepare themselves to enter their chosen fields. Students will be able to use this valuable information as they explore their own future occupations. Join us now to hear what these people have to say about their chosen careers. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, Sean Greeley.
What do you work for?
I work for the town of Groton, Groton Municipal Television.
How did you become interested in this field?
I was always fascinated on how people communicated and how they did it electronically back in the 80s, actually, when we were doing TV broadcasts. And it just led into technology, and I just love technology.
Where did you develop the skills needed for your job?
I actually went to Quinnipiac University, and I got a bachelor's degree in communications, and just through experience, too, working different jobs.
What's the most interesting part of your job?
The using technology to be creative. So you can have the highest tech thing, but if you don't know how to use it and how to be creative, it doesn't really do you any good. But having a tool where you can be creative, and since technology changes all the time, you get new opportunities to be creative.
What would you say is the most difficult part of your job?
Sometimes technology. You got to learn technology. So keeping up with technology is probably the toughest part because it changes so fast. But I still like doing it, and so it's still kind of fun to do that.
If a student's interested in this field, how should they prepare themselves?
Get as much experience as you can. So if you have your own camera at home, you can start making your own videos now. Everybody's got a camera in their pocket with their cell phone, and there's all sorts of software you can get. Just start making videos. And then if you're really interested in it, go to college or go to a two-year school or a trade school after and learn more about it, and then take as many opportunities to volunteer or get into production companies.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Erin Renane, and what are your names?
I'm Kelsey.
Kelsey.
And I'm Amy.
Amy. What do you guys do for work?
We are marine science educators at Project Oceanology.
How did you guys become interested in this?
So I originally went to school for environmental science, and I actually interned at Project O as a freshman in college, ended up really falling in love with the education side of things, and then got an education minor in school, and then came back to Project O years later.
I went to school for marine biology. I had an internship right out of college where I worked at an aquarium, so I got to do a little bit of animal care but also education. So I realized that I love both of those things, and Project O kind of offers both of those opportunities for me.
Awesome. Where did you guys develop the skills needed for your job?
Well, school prepared us pretty well, I feel like, for the education and science portion of what we do. But in terms of like our shipboard work, a lot of that was really on the job.
I agree. And working with kids too, it's pretty experience-based.
What's the most interesting part of your job?
Ooh, that's a good question. Honestly, I mean, we work on a boat, so that's always fun, but also all the people that we meet. We meet a ton of different students, a lot of different types of students, and it's really great to interact with all of them.
I would say the most interesting part of my job is that every day is a little bit different. So some days we're on board the boat, some days we're on the shore, some days we're in the classroom, and we're always doing something a little bit different.
Would you say this is the most challenging part of your job?
Honestly, I think... That's a good question. Amy, what do you think?
I would say probably one of the most challenging things is when you get a group of students who you really need to encourage.
Yeah.
So if you're coming to us and you're passionate or excited about science, that always makes our job easier.
Yeah.
If a student's interested in this field, how should they prepare themselves?
I definitely recommend, going to school, to college in some sort of related field, so something biology, marine biology, environmental science, or even education, because that's a huge part of our job. And then getting as much experience as you can before you graduate, internships, volunteer roles. It just makes it easier to kind of enter the field at that point.
I would agree with Kelsey. I mean, the more you can do in the sciences before you sort of come and have to teach it to other people, the more prepared you are.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Of course. Thank you.
It was great meeting you too. Hi, what's your name?
My name's Carson.
Did you have a career interest that you wanted to explore when you came in today?
No.
What career presentations did you visit?
Most of them.
Which career did you find most interesting and why?
I don't know. Probably the general dynamics.
Is there another career that you didn't find that you think we should have here?
Yeah, athletics, professional athlete.
Thank you for talking with us.
Thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
Abad.
What do you do for work?
I'm a cybersecurity advisor for Department of Homeland Security, CISA.
How did you become interested in this field?
Well, early on, when I was a kid, I started tinkering with electronics, taking things apart, being the family guru when it came to electronics and all technology, and the rest just happened. Yeah.
Where did you develop the skills needed for your job?
Mostly on the job experience, but a great deal of experimenting on my own, like I mentioned before, just tinkering, taking things apart, and just learning by trial and error.
What's the most interesting part of your job?
The most interesting part of my job is that I get to help out the general public. A lot of the general public doesn't realize what happens behind the scenes, but we help to secure our critical infrastructure environment. So you talk about like our water, wastewater sectors, electric grids, transportation, you name it. There's a lot of work to be done in that space. We rely on the technology every day. We sometimes take that for granted. Our systems are very fragile from a security standpoint. We enable the solutions with technology. But if that technology were to go away, it could put us in a tough spot as a nation. So a lot of work on the back end, and that goes into having the right conversations about cybersecurity.
What would you say is the most challenging part of your job?
That's tough. I like to think that nothing's a challenge, really, because we move forward with just about everything that we face that's difficult. But realistically, it's getting the right people into the field, so that's why I'm glad to be here today. Hopefully I gain enough interest in the students that are present today to help fill in some very important gaps that we have within our cybersecurity realm.
If a student's interested in this field, how should they prepare themselves?
Well, first off, I think the important thing is to realize what type of career track you're looking at, and you can have a couple of different options. But then talking to the right people, gaining access to the right resources to get some baseline training just to really understand the different disciplines and understand if that's something you're interested in, and then you can start identifying what requirements exist in that field, whether it's a degree, on-the-job experience, certificates, or just starting off in the right area.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
It was great meeting you. Thank you.
Here.
Hi, what are your names?
My name is Kyle. My name is Kristen.
Who do you work for?
American Ambulance. American Ambulance.
How did you guys become interested in this field?
I decided to choose a new career when my children were growing up, and I decided to go into healthcare. I worked as an EMT for a few years, and then I figured I'd go into the education side of it.
Where did you develop the skills needed for your job?
I went to schooling to be EMT, and I kind of learned on the job as well.
Same. I went to school to be a phlebotomist and medical assistant, and worked as a phlebotomist and medical assistant for many years, and then I decided to transfer into teaching.
What's the most interesting part of your job?
I like that I can see from day one to at the end of the program how much kids learn and their assessment skills kind of excel and stuff.
I enjoy seeing the students succeed, get jobs, get into a new career, build up. We are a skill-based school, so it's a stepping stone to get into hospitals and move on with their careers.
What's the most challenging part of your job?
Sometimes it's seeing students struggle test-wise and stuff, because it's not just testing for EMS and stuff. It's testing and skills, so they can do one in really good in one side, but not as well in the other.
I agree with Kyle. Is to see somebody who struggles in a skill-based learning center. Sometimes the bookwork can be a little bit overwhelming.
If a student's interested in this field, how should they prepare themselves?
So you can start by taking beginner like anatomy and physiology classes, volunteering, stuff like that. But like we can take you right out of high school, or when you turn 16, you could take an EMT class. So not really much needed before.
Yep. So this is nice because it's skill-based right out of high school, so you don't need any prerequisitions to come in and take training classes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
Lena?
Did you have a career interest that you wanted to explore when you came in today?
Not really.
Which career presentations did you visit?
I visited the one about the art museum, the one about the old folks home, and the police station.
Which career did you find most interesting and why?
I was interested in the old folks home because I've always thought about helping people, and my mom also she used to help an old person, and I want to be more like her, so I thought I'd do that.
How do you prepare for that career as your goal?
I already help my mom on a daily basis because she's getting pretty old herself, and I do that every day so I can get ready for this.
Is there another career that you didn't find that we should have here?
No.
Okay, thank you for talking with us.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Erin Renane, and this is Elena and Jessica, and they're working for Electric Boat, and they're doing welding and pipe fitting. How did you guys become interested in welding and pipe fitting?
So I started at Electric Boat as a youth program coordinator. So I actually don't do welding or pipe fitting because nobody wants me to do those things. But I actually help develop programming that teaches kids about these programs.
I also am a boat program coordinator, and so what I do is I help run our high school program and our adult programs.
How did you guys develop the skills needed for your job?
So a lot of interpersonal skills. So learning how to communicate with people, with different groups of people. I was a social worker for 12 years before I did this, so I think that helped a lot. But just knowing how to communicate to different people of all ages.
And I have a background in special education, so very similar.
What's the most interesting part of your job?
I'd say working with the kids. I really love it. I think it's great to be out in the communities and show kids that college isn't always the answer.
I'd agree with that. I think the most interesting thing is seeing how something I'm doing in a 5th grade classroom can, directly impact the building of our submarines for our Navy forces.
If a student's interested in this field, how should they prepare themselves?
Well, we do have a program for high school students. They can come and try. Typically, it's like a 6-week program where you can practice the trades, but as long as you're 18 years old, you can come in for 2 nights. You can come for free, and you can practice all 6 of our core trades in manufacturing as well.
Awesome. What about you?
Ask a lot of questions. So if you're interested in the trades, reach out to, people that are in the field. If you're able to go and, do fairs like this one in STEM-oriented places, or if you're able to go to the trade schools and stuff like that, just ask a lot of questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
it was
you.
great meeting you.
Great job.
Hi, what's your name?
I'm Gabriella.
What career are you pursuing?
I'm pursuing nursing.
How did you become interested in this career?
So a lot of my idols and a lot of my family members are actually in the medical field, so I'm kind of following in their footsteps.
Are there any specialties within this field to choose between?
Yeah, there's a bunch. I'm specifically going for med-surg, which is kind of more generic where I can help everywhere, but there's other specialties like labor and delivery, there is the ICU, the emergency room, things like that.
How do you have to prepare for this career?
So there's a lot of different exams that you kind of learn, or skills. For me, I'm taking the nursing program at Fitch, so we actually go out, do some clinicals at Avalon, the nursing home residency at in Mystic, and it's like we get practice taking care of actual patients.
What's the biggest challenge in obtaining this career?
It's definitely getting comfortable because it's kind of intimate. You have to get in and help people who are very vulnerable, especially when they're like at a low status of health.
Thank you so much for talking with us. Good luck.
Of course, thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
Annabelle.
Did you have a career interest that you wanted to explore when you came in today?
I wanted to explore the Eugene O'Neill Theater.
Which career presentations did you visit?
The theater, the Hartford Healthcare, and the Art Museum, a few others.
Which career did you find most interesting and why?
I really liked the theater because I love theater and I've been doing it my whole life.
How do you prepare for that career as your goal?
Do a lot of shows and try to prove myself.
Is there another career that you didn't find that we should have here?
I really wanted to do like a kind of writing thing, but it's okay. I love theater too.
Thank you so much for talking with us.
Of course.
Hi, this is Connor and Nico, and they work for Thayer Mahan. So, how did you guys become interested in this?
So I actually went to school for geology, and I was trying to figure out kind of the future of geology, and to me that was maritime geology and subsea geology. So that's kind of how I found Thayer Mahan.
Hi, I went to Connecticut College, kind of right nearby, and I was studying computer science, and I needed an internship, and there was a company nearby that was offering internships in my junior year. I did an internship with Thayer Mahan, thought the work was pretty cool. Got a job offer going into my senior year and decided to take it, and I've been there for 2 or 3 years now. So.
Where did you guys develop the skills needed for your job?
A lot of the skills that I actually learned were on-the-job training, so I learned a lot from on the job. But my college prepared me well in the sciences.
Yeah, sort of similar to me too. I did computer science in college, and that gave me the skill set that I needed to do like the basic stuff at the company, and then I just learned a lot from all of my coworkers who were more experienced than me. So yeah.
What's the most interesting part of your job?
I like that it's something different every day. I have the opportunity to go work out on boats and on the water, and a little bit of time in the office. So I like the different aspects of it.
I think it's a really interesting field. Working in like ocean technology. I didn't really expect to do that when I was studying computer science, and it's like computer science is a very open field. So I think the most interesting thing for me is being able to apply something that I learned to something that I didn't know anything about at all. So yeah.
What about the most challenging part of your job?
I think the most interesting part is also the most challenging part. It's adapting every day and learning new skills and continuing to learn and develop those skills.
What about you?
Yeah, I agree. The biggest thing is like problem solving. Like there's a lot of different problems that don't have answers like on Google or whatever, so it takes brain power to actually figure it out.
Right. If a student's interested in this field, how should they prepare themselves?
I would say for this field, you need to focus on math and science. Those are two main skills, and I think it's very important to focus on those too.
Yeah, I think the studying part of it is pretty important, like taking classes that prepare you for math and sciences, but then also like your own personal projects is a big thing too. If you think of something's interesting, like a coding project or interested in like geology and whatnot, like try it out on your own time and see where that takes you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Good morning, my name is Jacob Salazar.
Did you have a career interest you wanted to explore when you came in today?
I had a little bit of, I wanted to check out the ROTC or the Groton Police Department and the Fire Department.
Which career did you find most interesting and why?
I found that police and the firefighters interesting because they do a lot for us. And seeing, them go into action and do all these things for us, it helps a lot.
How do you prepare for that career as your goal?
Try all these amazing programs that our schools are doing, like Fitch, giving us all these amazing programs. We can check those out and they will help us with our careers.
Is there another career that you didn't find that we should have here?
Maybe like a corpsman program for the Navy or some other, medical programs would help.
Thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you so much.
Hi, what's your name?
I'm Dana Jensen.
What do you do for work?
I'm a photographer for the day newspaper.
How did you become interested in photography?
Well, when I was in high school, I had some family friends with my parents that were interested in photography. And so I thought, I was seeing these 35 millimeter cameras, and I thought that looked pretty cool. So one Christmas I got a starter camera from my parents. And then I just went from there, and I was on the yearbook staff for the school. And then I graduated from there, and I took some photography classes. I wasn't at that point interested in photojournalism because what I saw in my town big city newspaper was all about accidents and fires. So that didn't appeal to me, but I still wanted to be involved in photography in some way. And when I got out of college, I moved to a small town, and that had a community newspaper like The Day. I thought, okay, that's what I want to do. So I had to rebuild my portfolio at that point. And at that point, I was an assistant to a commercial photographer, and I had to, just spend more time there to build up a new portfolio. And from there, I was told from a professor that to go into photojournalism, you'd need to take at least 5 internships. So I did that. I did a year in Utah. I did couple of interns in Colorado, and my last one I think was up in Vermont, and then I came to The Day, and I've been there for 25 years.
Where did you develop the skills needed for your job?
Well, going out on my own, was how I first started. Was taking pictures, all the time. And like I said, I started doing that in high school. I was taking pictures for the yearbook, so that was a start. And then after I got out of school, I was, like I said, I was, taking pictures just to build up my portfolio on weekends. So.
What would you say is the most interesting part of your job?
For me, it's a lot of times it's the people that I meet. I meet a lot of interesting people, and then there are some experiences that I've had where, like, spending a night on the Coast Guard Eagle, or doing other, we have a lot of submarines here, so go to homecomings, and so you see all the families reuniting, which is fun, and but yeah, it's just. Every day there's something new, something different.
What would you say is the most challenging part of your job?
That's a tricky question. I'm sorry, I'm not really, I don't know what to say about that one. Well, I tend to work, sometimes we work long days, but it's just part of the job, and and everybody works hard. So, but we have a good staff, and so.
If a student's interested in this field, how should they prepare themselves?
Well, I think just like I was saying earlier, the best way to is to just start taking pictures. And the chance you have, if you have a camera or the school loans cameras, just start taking pictures as often as you can, and try different things, still lives, or if you like still lives, or portraits, or just keep trying different things, try to do a little bit of every, a variety of things.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
All right.
Thank you. It was nice to meet you. Hi, what's your name?
Isabella.
Did you have a career interest that you wanted to explore when you came today?
Yes, the JROTC program at Fitch.
What career presentations did you visit?
The Mystic Museum of Art and the Mystic Aquarium.
Which career did you find most interesting and why?
The Hartford Healthcare program, because I have a lot of family members in the programs like that, and I thought it was cool if I could work with them one day.
How do you prepare for that career as your goal?
Find classes to visit over the summer and explore options and ask them questions about it.
Is there another career that you didn't find that we should have here?
No.
Okay, thank you for talking with us. Hi, I'm Erin Renane. What are you guys' names?
I'm Will.
I'm Matt.
I'm Joe.
Who do you work for?
I work for the Naval Submarine Support Facility in electronics, and I'm the production controller.
I work in the same place. I am in IT.
I also work at the same place, also in IT.
How did you guys become interested in this?
Well, I joined the Navy. My father was in the military, and it was just a logical thing to do after high school for me.
I'm former Vietnam Army, and I've been doing submarines since December 1973.
Thank you for your service.
I just joined because it's something my dad did. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do after high school.
Where did you guys develop the skills needed for your job?
So we have this thing called A School that basically just teaches you what your job is and kind of just gives you the training that you need to do it.
Navy teaches you everything you need to know from when you check in to be able to do your job and be able to be effective in what you're doing.
I taught Naval Submarine School, I taught sonar, and I put 321 sailors out of 323 on submarines.
What's the most interesting part of your job?
What was that?
What's the most interesting part of your job?
Working with these young guys, because I served during Vietnam, and I'm big on veterans and active duty.
And our job in IT is something new every day, so a different challenge every single day.
So currently I work IT, but my actual job when I'm out on the submarine is tracking contacts, like out in the ocean, so I think that's pretty interesting.
What's the most challenging part of your job?
Challenging part of your job is sometimes you have to go through a lot of processes and paperwork to make things happen. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but it's a lot of work to get that stuff done.
Mine is meeting the schedules and getting the subs out on time to defend the country, and that's a big thing.
I'd probably go with the same thing you said.
If a student's interested in this field, how should they prepare themselves?
Well, if students are interested, first, they got to get through middle school, high school, all that, make sure they have good grades. But the military has this thing called the ASVAB, which is what you need to take for getting in the military. And it's just miscellaneous things for them to study, and then you'd be able to join if you wanted to.
Try to find an interest that you're particularly interested to go in. The Navy has a lot of jobs that can align you with whatever that interest is. We can turn that into a career. Big thing, just, start keeping yourself, keep working out and be healthy, and then just talk to a recruiter.
Mine is get the young person to understand that the job they're going to do is bigger than them and they're capable of doing it.
Thank you all so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you.
It was great meeting you guys. Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Michael Lowell.
What do you do for work?
I'm the Deputy Chief of the Paquonic Bridge Fire Department.
How did you become interested in this?
My friend was actually joining the Gales Ferry Fire Company. He was telling me all the calls he was going on, so I was like, hey, that sounds kind of fun. So I joined my local volunteer firehouse.
Where did you develop the skills needed for your job?
I started with the Old Mystic Fire Department, and they paid for all my training. They sent me to school, and then I moved over to Paquonic Bridge and became a career fireman.
What would you say is the most interesting part of your job?
not knowing what I'm going to do on a day-to-day basis. So we have our normal day stuff, but we don't really know what call is going to come on, and that's the exciting part that I find of the job. Every day is different.
What's the most challenging part of your job?
Staying up on training. Technology is constantly training, so we're always learning. Every shift you got to train on something. As equipment gets new, we got to learn new equipment, new techniques.
If a student's interested in this field, how should they prepare themselves?
I would recommend joining their local firehouse. Figure out, do you have a career firehouse in town or a volunteer? Old Mystic Fire Department, you can start at 14 years old. So if you're 14, start firehouse, they'll train you, and then if you like it, you can get a full-time job doing it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
You're welcome.
Here we go.
Hi, what are your names?
Daryl Bias.
Sandy Amaro. Kristen Rockwell. Where did you guys develop the skills needed for your job?
It depends on what component you're looking for, but a lot of biology, chemistry, animal sciences, and regulatory compliance.
So I'm not on the science side, but Pfizer has a lot of roles on the business operations side, and so my degrees are really focused on business management, and I have an MBA that helps support the work that I do at Pfizer.
So my background is biology, a lot of molecular biology, and I'm a laboratory scientist.
How did you all become interested in Pfizer?
Well, I had the science background from day one. I worked in a lot of other industries, and then the science, being from Connecticut, there was a lot of opportunities at Pfizer, and had an opportunity to come in toxicology, and then I've been here for 25 years later.
I've been at Pfizer for 21 years, but also as someone that lives in this community, always wanted to work at Pfizer, but never knew how I would do that without a science background. And I would say about 40-ish% of the jobs that are at Pfizer are not science-based. So I think for me it was like just a goal to work at Pfizer.
I just always really wanted to be part of the whole making new medicine process, and Pfizer does that on such a grand scale, so it was an awesome opportunity to get involved into early research and be working in the lab.
What's the most interesting part of your job?
I would say working with such a variety of people. Everybody has their specialty, and working with each one and collaborating, coming up with the best solution is probably the most rewarding for me.
I think days like this, I think for me the thing that makes me most motivated is bringing science to the community and helping shape like the future of science within our own community.
Right now I work in drug safety, and to me I find meaning in that work, feeling like I'm screening these drugs to make sure they don't have any cardiac liabilities just before they get farther down the pipe.
What would you say is the most challenging part of your job?
Not enough hours in a day to get things done.
Ditto, I would say the same. There's so much we can do for the greater good, but just not enough time and resources to get it done.
I agree. The other thing I'd add is being a scientist, there's so much we do when you're developing new experiments where things don't work, and that just becomes part of the job. So I think just developing that tough skin and understanding you might do 10 things and maybe 1 out of 10 are going to work, and just trying to get satisfaction from that and not get too bummed about it.
If a student's interested in this field, how should they prepare themselves?
One is college education. It's going to be a requirement, but no matter what education, you need experience. Internships, co-ops, volunteering. The more experience you have, that's how you're going to learn how to do this stuff.
I would also say mentorship. So there's so many, you could probably bump into like 10 people in this room that have family members that work at Pfizer or have worked at Pfizer. So in addition to education and doing all the things to get you there, I think mentorship and finding people that can help shape you as you go into your education and your learning journey.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to ask people. People want to help. So, if you have friends who have parents who are in science and you're interested, don't be afraid to say, hey, can I shadow you for the day? And try to get yourself exposed to what the job you think you want is really like on a day-to-day. Get into the lab, see if you like that work, if you can envision yourself doing that work. That'll go a long way.
Thank you all for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, what's your name?
Jorliana.
Did you have a career interest that you wanted to explore when you came in today?
I wanted to look at stuff like nursing and like working with babies and stuff like that.
What career presentations did you visit?
The healthcare and I don't know what it's called, but
the fish nursing.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for that career as your goal?
I want to keep learning stuff to do about nursing and learn about babies and stuff like that.
Is there any careers that you didn't find that you think we should have here?
Not really.
Thank you so much for talking with us.
You're welcome.
What's your name?
Kiara.
Did you have a career interest that you wanted to explore when you came today?
Yes. Law.
What career presentations did you visit?
I visited the Navy JROTC and the Museum of Art.
Which career did you find most interesting and why?
I found the Navy JROTC most interesting because I really like to explore places and they get to go around, do fun stuff.
How do you prepare for that career as your goal?
Well, I'm gonna sign up for it for freshman year and see how it goes by then.
Is there another career that you didn't find that we should have here?
Maybe something with law. I mean, I know there's a lot of other careers, but I really want to do something with law, and they don't really have that here.
Okay, thank you for talking with us.
Thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
Brianna Schedule.
What career are you pursuing?
I am pursuing the Fitch and JROTC.
How did you become interested in this career?
Well, we learned a little bit about it the first year it was created, which was last year. It seemed like a good opportunity, and it seemed like beneficial to my years at Fitch.
Are there any specialties within this field to choose between?
Yeah, so with the Fitch and JROTC, you can pursue as a regular cadet, and if you serve the 4 years in our program, you can go into college and get your college paid for by the Navy, or you could go into the Navy as an E4.
How do you have to prepare for this career?
It's a lot of mental challenges, but also you could, physically, you would have to work out a lot for it, as it is a little bit more challenging.
What's the biggest challenge in obtaining this career?
The biggest challenge for us is most likely the mental responsibility you have to have. Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you.
Hi, what are your names?
I'm Rosie. I'm Liz.
What do you work for?
I work for Mystic Seaport Museum.
Same, Mystic Seaport Museum.
How did you become interested in this field?
After high school, I started working on sailboats and fell in love with it and followed a career in it.
Similar. After college, I started sailing on a bunch of boats and, fell in love with boats.
Where did you develop the skills needed for your job?
I did a lot of on-the-job training, working on different boats all around the country, the East Coast, and worked my way up, and that's how I learned, on the job.
Yeah, same. Lots of on-the-job training, internships, and stuff like that. Yeah.
What would you say is the most interesting part of your job?
The most interesting part of my job? So I, in particular, work with a lot of our small craft. So I'm in charge of about 46 different boats, and all 46 of them are different. So every time I'm working on a different boat, I get to learn a different story about it, see a different way it was built, things like that. So I really enjoy that.
Yeah, so at Mystic Seaport Museum, we have a lot of really old, really storied boats as well. So I care for one of our bigger vessels, Sabino, and that's a really cool responsibility to be one of its caretakers. And I just love being on the water every day.
What would you say is the most challenging part of your job?
The most challenging part of my job? Something I can't control, which is weather. In the summertime, we let people go out on all of our small craft, and so Not being able to control the weather is kind of a bummer. I have to work with what we have, and when it's raining, it's not that fun at my job, so the weather.
Yeah, I mean, weather for sure, but there's just like a million moving parts, right? There's so many variables being on the water, there's other people around, there's like a crew that you're dealing with, and like there's just a lot of moving parts, so being able to like multitask and sort of organize things.
If a student's interested in this field, how should they prepare themselves?
Oh, wow. So at the Seaport, we have a really awesome program called our Junior Volunteer Program. Anybody 14 and up can sign up for it. And if you're interested in it, you sign up for the program and you talk with our volunteer coordinator. And they would get you kind of set with the type of work you're interested in. So if it's boat building, if it's just being on boats, it's maybe getting your captain's license one day. They would help you get into that, and then you could work on the job and get that experience.
Yeah, just get out on the water. The best thing you could do is just go out there and learn. Every time you're on the water, you learn more things.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Yeah, it was great.
Thank you. It was great meeting you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Hi, what's your name?
My name is Bentley.
Did you have a career interest that you wanted to explore when you came in today?
Yes, I really wanted to explore tree trails.
Which career presentations did you visit?
I visit the art, I visit the tree trails, and I visit the Army, the Navy.
Which career did you find most interesting and why?
Maybe tree trails because it's a lot of like outside activities, and I like heights.
How do you prepare for that career as your goal?
Really? I don't know. I have to think about that in the future.
Is there another career that you didn't find that we should have here?
Not really, no.
Okay, thank you for talking with us.
Thank you.
Hi, what are your names?
I'm Megan Granato.
I'm Clayton Potter.
What do you do for work?
I am the Town of Groton Sustainability and Resilience Manager.
I work for the town of Groton as their economic development specialist.
How did you both become interested in this job?
I took sort of an interest in biology and was a biology major. Didn't really know what I wanted to do with that in college, but ended up doing a lot of environmental internships, and from there learned all about how we can restore the natural world, and that led me into more and more work involving climate change.
I grew up watching a downtown area always struggle to maintain businesses and seeing a lot of empty storefronts. I've always been interested in entrepreneurship, and I wanted to understand what makes businesses successful because they're a critical part of having a healthy town. And so after I got my master's in public administration, I was working to get into economic development, and that's where I'm at.
What's the most interesting part of your job?
Yeah, I think my job's really dynamic in terms of the variety of things I get to do. So one day it's looking at how we can make an area of town more resilient against flooding, and another day it's working on how we can incentivize people to make their homes more energy efficient. So it's a really varied workload.
I get most excited about problem solving, and when there's new businesses coming into town or businesses that might need some support with grants or whatnot, different things that can help make them more successful, I get to come into play. And whether it's doing research or going out into the community and having conversations with them or getting them connected to resources, I really get excited about that work.
What would you say is the most challenging part of your jobs?
Yeah, I think since my work is focused on climate change, there's just so much that we can do and need to do. So there's always that pressure. We need to do more and more and more and faster.
While I get excited about problem solving, I can't always offer solutions. And sometimes that gets a bit frustrating, so I just try to continue to think creatively about what we can and can't do.
If a student's interested in this field, how should they prepare themselves?
Yeah, I would say learning what is going on in their town. So in Groton, we're doing a lot on climate change. So there's definitely a lot that they could get involved in. And then a lot of colleges, if they're interested in going that route, often offer sustainability programs. So that would be a good place to start looking.
Students could have a background in business and get into economic development, but that's not my background. And I think that there's a bunch of different ways, like Megan said, really just getting involved in your town, learning to understand the different problems and the different approaches to making a town healthy when it comes to having good jobs, having businesses, providing quality housing. There's a bunch of different backgrounds and experiences that somebody could have to get into something like economic development.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was great meeting you too. Hi, what's your name?
I'm Officer Heather McClelland.
Who do you work for?
I work for the Groton Police Department.
How did you become interested in this job?
That's a good question. I started off as a lacrosse coach, and I coached a lot of kids that ended up going on into law enforcement, and I decided it was time for a change, and here I am.
Where did you develop the skills needed for your job?
I think just by living, meeting a lot of people, talking to a lot of people, learning how to kind of control the environment that I'm in, and just kind of come to some solutions with people.
What's the most interesting part of your job?
Probably this, getting a chance to meet people and get to know people and work with my partner Chase here and get a chance to just make a lot of connections in the community.
What would you say is the most challenging part of your job?
Probably maybe the shift work, having to work odd hours and deal with some people that aren't very excited to talk to us or be involved with police. So that's probably the most challenging.
If a student's interested in this field, how should they prepare themselves?
I think it starts early. You got to make sure that you do well in school. You start when you start working. You show a good job record, and just show that you've got good morals, good values, and that you can be trustworthy. And you live by the credo that you treat people as you want to be treated.
Thank you so much for talking with us.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
I am Meredith, and I'm with the Mystic Museum of Art.
How did you become interested in this field?
So I have been an artist my entire life and a teacher, and the two combine. If you want to make money as an artist, you're usually teaching as a side hustle. And I love working at the museum because I get to teach students of all ages from 4 to 100. And our museum, located in Mystic, has both a gallery side and a studio side. So if anybody's interested in learning to make any kind of art, they would just look us up online and find out all about different programming.
How did you become interested in this field? Oh, I just asked you that, sorry. Where did you develop the skills needed for your job?
So that's a good question. My favorite quotation is, an artist isn't a special kind of person. Every person is a special kind of artist. So growing up, I nurtured painting, sculpting, in large part because my parents love art as well. But if you feel like you have a creative side in gardening, cooking, art, you just pursue it, and that's your art. So it's not really something that you have to study per se. It helps to nurture it. It's already inside all of us. And that sounds very corny, but it's true.
What's the most interesting part of your job?
I teach art to everybody from age 4 to 100, and I give them the same message. It's all in there. You just have to nurture it, let it come out, see what happens. If you're doing, for instance, a figure drawing class, you'll have a room of 20 students painting the same individual, but no two of those paintings look at all alike. And it's fun to see how everybody expresses themselves.
What would you say is the most challenging part of your job?
Helping people discover that they can do art, because we all get messages from either teachers or peers that we might not be a good artist. And that's a bad message to get. It's actually, what kind of art do you like? And like I said, it could be cooking, gardening, music. Even among the field of art, there's drawing, there's computer programming, graphics. So we just try to figure out what that is, because it's a gift that everybody's been given. You just have to figure out how you got the gift.
If a student's interested in this field, how should they prepare themselves?
I would tell somebody aspiring to make money doing art to just keep doing what they love, keep taking classes. Eventually, a door will open in which it's possible to make money, either through selling your art or through teaching your art. We've all heard this stupid quotation that those who can do and those who can't teach, and that frustrates me because teachers are giving everybody the gifts that they already have. And for artists, we're probably teaching because that's the best way to make money. Did that answer your question?
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Nice to meet you too. It was great to meet you. Thank you.
What's your first name?
Erin.
Erin, good job. Very professional.
Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Lyric.
Did you have a career interest that you wanted to explore when you came in today?
Yeah. Oh, nursing, yeah.
Which career presentations did you visit?
The Hartford Healthcare.
Which career did you find most interesting and why?
Just the Hartford Healthcare because I want to be a nurse. So that's what I put my focus on, you know?
How do you prepare for that career as your goal?
I don't know.
Is there another career that you didn't find that you think we should have here?
No. Oh, wait, yeah. I think, wait, was there one for sports? Yeah, I think there should be one for sports.
Okay, thank you for talking with us.
No, thank you. Can I actually have a hug? Thank you. I actually love you.
I love you too.
Oh, never again.
Hi, what's your name?
My name is Harmony.
Did you have a career interest that you wanted to explore when you came in today?
Probably mostly Project O stuff and marine biology.
Which presentations did you visit today?
I visited the Mystic Aquarium and the Project O people.
Which career did you find most interesting and why?
Mostly Project O or Mystic Aquarium because we haven't explored most of the oceans yet, and there's a big part of the ocean we haven't explored.
How do you prepare for that career as your goal?
I'm currently going into the marine science school, and I prepare to be getting a bachelor's degree in marine science.
Is there any careers that you didn't find that you think we should have here?
Not that I think of.
Okay, thank you so much for talking with us.
Thanks for talking with me.
Hi, what's your name?
My name is Chloe.
Did you have a career interest that you wanted to explore when you came in today?
Yeah, I wanted to check out the Groton TV station when I got in.
Which career did you find most interesting and why?
I really enjoyed the TV one because they're very creative and they get to do a bunch of really cool stuff when recording, and yeah.
How do you prepare for that career as your goal?
Well, I want to learn more about it and go into the digital media field and newscasting, so I've been researching about that.
Is there another career that you didn't find that you think we should have here?
No, I don't think so. I like all the careers here. There's a good option and amount of choices.
Awesome. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Of course, thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
I'm Rachel.
What do you work for?
I work for the Eugene O'Neill Theater Center.
How did you become interested in theater?
So I started in dance when I was about 4, and then from there I got into musical theater around when I was still in elementary school, and I loved it. And now I've kind of come full circle, and I work on the business side and marketing, but still get to be involved in the arts every day.
Where did you develop the skills needed for your job?
I started out in journalism school, and I developed a lot of communication skills there, and then I got my master's degree in arts administration, and sort of, built my skills in budgeting, management, that sort of thing, to end up where I am now.
What do you say is the most interesting part of your job?
I think the most interesting part of my job is that we have so much unique art coming through. We do plays, musicals, puppetry performances, cabaret, so I get to see a little bit of everything, which is really fun and exciting.
What about the most challenging part of your job?
we do a lot. We have a small team, and we do anywhere from 4 to 8 plays and 2 to 3 musicals and puppetry and cabaret, all in sort of 8 to 10 weeks in the summer. So it can be a little hectic and challenging, but also a lot of fun.
If a student's interested in this field, how should they prepare themselves?
I think it depends on what exactly part of the arts you're into, but get involved when you're in middle school, when you're in high school. Participate in theater, try out different roles. You try being on stage, try being backstage. Try running the marketing and see what it is that you like and what calls to you. And then pursue that, whether that's in college, whether that's in an apprenticeship or a training program. There's lots of different paths, especially on the artistic side. There's lots of different paths to get here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you.
Everything that you said is really interesting. What's your name?
Jace.
Did you have a career interest that you wanted to explore when you came in today?
I like that one.
Thayer Mahan.
Yep.
He liked the Thayer Mahan presentation.
Thayer Mahan.
Which career did you find most interesting and why?
That one. Because welding is cool. I like it.
Okay, the Thayer Mahan because you like welding? How do you prepare for that career as your goal?
I want to do a trade, and I like welding.
Is there another career that you didn't find that we should have here?
McDonald's.
Okay, thank you for talking with us. Hi, what are your names?
Reagan Nichols.
Megan Susie.
What do you both do for work?
I'm a branch manager at Chelsea Groton Bank down in Groton.
I'm also a branch manager at Chelsea Groton Bank in the Waterford branch.
How did you both become interested in this field?
I actually went in to cash my paycheck one day and got a job, and I've been there for almost 20 years now.
I also was a cashier at one point, and I decided that I really liked it, and I wanted to try being a teller, and then I moved up the line a little bit.
Where did you develop the skills needed for your job?
I think I worked in customer service a lot before, and that was very helpful since we deal with the public and we talk to a lot of people, so that's been helpful over the years.
Yeah, same. I worked in retail for a long time, and I think that helped me with my customer service skills, and then I learned the finance piece as well. So,
what would you say is the most interesting part of your job?
I think the most interesting part is training new people when they come in. We get to lead a team, and that's very exciting every day because it's very different every day.
I like to watch customers throughout all their different journeys in their lives. So, buying a home, or if they are going through a tough time, I like to be there throughout all the different pieces.
What would you say is the most challenging part of your job?
I think dealing with the public sometimes is hard, but it's also the best part because when you can help them, it's very rewarding.
Yeah, I agree with that. It can be really challenging, but it's definitely the best part as well.
If a student's interested in this field, how should they prepare themselves?
I think any classes dealing with any kind of financial awareness is smart, but also if they have extracurricular interests, because when you connect with people, it could be on any basis. It could be music, it could be entertainment, it could be money. But with the public, it's good to have all those pieces so that you can really talk to people.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's just the different, experiences that they go through is a different way you can, connect with people, and I think that's the most beneficial.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time
Thank
to talk
you.
with us.
Thanks.
Thank you. It was nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet
I'm
you too.
Erin.
Oh, I'm Reagan. Very nice.
Hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Rebecca Bias.
What do you work for?
I work for Groton Public Schools.
How did you become interested in this?
So I am a communications specialist for Groton Public Schools. I went to school for radio, TV, and film production, and then public relations. And I was very interested in communications in high school, and decided I wanted to sort of be in project management and account management, and also TV production.
Where did you develop the skills needed for your job?
I went to Marist College, which just became Marist University, and I studied radio, TV, film, and public relations classes, and I did several internships, mostly in the New York City area with companies.
What would you say is the most interesting part of your job?
It's always different. I'm always doing different things for my job. I support a lot of different programs and projects. Like for today's event, I designed the banners that are standing up. So it's really cool seeing things come to fruition. You know, you create a design or you're working on something, and then you go to the printer and you pick up the banner and you see them at an event like this. So that's really cool. Or like we have the photographer here from the day today. So it'll be really cool tomorrow to see those pictures in the paper.
What would you say is the most challenging part of your job?
Things often are very time sensitive. Sometimes you don't find out about things till last minute. Sometimes there's crisis or urgent situations. Sometimes you're waiting to get input from other members of the team on different things. So I would say there sometimes in marketing and communications can be a lot of time sensitivity to things. You have to create and produce things with very little turnaround time.
If a student's interested in this field, how should they prepare themselves?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think they should, be thinking about communications when they are looking at signage and advertising and social media, and thinking and looking about the ways that they're engaging with those platforms and seeing what appeals to them. And then look at schools that have communications programs, and specifically look at schools that have internship opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Very cool. Thank you. It was nice. Wow, there are so many exciting opportunities to explore. We hope the GMS Career Expo has piqued your interest in thinking of your career goals. Reporting for GPS 19, this is Erin Renane. Thanks for watching. Bye.